These are costing the health service. Millions of pounds are on course for an early grave. Obesity is linked to heart attacks, strokes and even cancer.
I was brought up in the basic Glasgow diet, pie and chips and mince and totties.
Unless we change our eating and exercising habits, in 20 years, the average male waist will be 40 inches.
Oh no, I could just walk down dead anywhere. My heart could just pack up, you know?
High-fat foods are largely to blame for Britain's problem with obesity. More than 1 in 2 adults are overweight and 1 in 5 are clinically obese.
Perverse, really. I've got to sort of be dying before I get help.
Many of us are fat, but some of us are fatter than others. And some of us are so fat that if we don't diet, we'll die. There are up to 1 million people in the UK who are morbidly obese, people whose weight is a direct threat to their life. This Glasgow flat is home to Linda Early. She's 41 years old and is morbidly obese. She weighs 255 kilograms, over 40 stone.
I don't open the curtains because you're stared at all the time. All they see is this hulkier person, you know, sitting in a bed. So they've all got to stop and stare. You become like something in a freak show and you get fed up with it after a while.
Linda hasn't been able to leave her flat for 5 years, and for the last 18 months she hasn't even been able to get out of bed.
You can't possibly have any idea what it's like to sit in this bed 23 hours a day, whereas you can't even lie down to sleep. Usually only sleep for about 2 hours because I'm not comfortable. You know, I mean, if you kind of doze out like this, then that is basically the position I'll sleep in. So when I wake up, my neck's stiff, my back's sore, I get chronic back pain, muscle spasms in the legs, bed sores, abscesses, irritations with infections, thrush in the mouth, thrush down below, all sorts of wee irritants, but it can make your life a misery, and nobody wants that 7 days a week, month in and month out. So, I mean, I don't enjoy sitting in my bed. And sometimes I think, aye, you know, I am a waste of space and I'm causing everybody too many problems. I honestly believe that if I don't get taken out of here, I will die in this bed.
Throughout the day, a team of carers are employed by social services to look after Linda.
I get a lot of staff coming in who basically take care of my everyday needs. They do everything that you can possibly imagine. Everything from cooking, shopping, housework, personal care. Everything's done by staff.
You finished, Linda?
Aye, could I have my tray or no? Just so I can brush my hair in that and fix myself up a wee bit. I don't leave this room right enough, but my only toilet facilities is sitting there. Is that big chair? That is what's called a commode. Basically just a bucket and a chair. Obviously they'll leave the room while I'm using the bucket and the chair. I get 10 minutes on that and then they come in, and that's basically what they're here for, is to take care of the bucket and the chair and take care of me. That's my wee routine set for the morning.
Sarah Cox is 25 stone, married with 2 children. Ever since the birth of her first child, she's been struggling with her weight.
I was always tall and slim. I had a waist before anybody else. And yeah, I was always very slim.
So when did you start putting on weight?
When I fell for Daisy. I put on about 6 stone when I was expecting her. And I went to the consultant at the hospital and he just said it's one of those things. Some people do and some people don't.
How does it make you feel
I hate it. I hate it. Inside, I'm still slim. And then I see photographs. This isn't who I am. I don't like being like this. Up until about 2.5 years ago, I'd been backwards and forwards to slimming clubs, and then 2.5 years ago, that was it. I'd had enough. I couldn't cope anymore. And I went to the GP and said, I want surgery. I've got to have surgery.
The surgery that Sarah wants will reduce the size of her stomach. Time's running out, however. If Sarah continues to pile on the pounds, it could be dangerous for the surgeon to operate.
I'm already at high risk because of the sheer weight on the lung wall. So it's a high risk already. And I've already been through the tears and am I doing the right thing? Am I going to leave my girls without a mum? But realistically, if I don't have it done now, who's to say I'm going to leave my girls without a mum in 10 years' time anyway? So it's now or never.
32-stone Ted Whitlock is reading about himself in the national press. Last week, Ted collapsed with chest pains in his hotel room. Ambulance men who arrived on the scene quickly realised that Ted was too big and heavy to carry out of his room. They had to call in the fire service to help. It took 10 firemen, 5 paramedics, 2 policemen and a specialist rope rescue unit 2 hours to winch him safely out of the window. After a few days in hospital, Ted is now back in the hotel. He knows he can dine out for weeks on the story of his rescue. He's been living here on Social Security benefit ever since he split up with his wife 6 months ago.
Sue's been a good wife to me for the time we've been married. She told me to lose weight or I was going to die. And she said she didn't want to be left on her own with 2 boys. So she was only telling me for my own good, really. When I first came into Sue's life, I was 17 stone. And I've only put on all this excess weight because of her good home cooking, which is a compliment to her, really. There you go. We've been married exactly 5 years so far. I don't want a divorce or anything, because obviously I'm still in love with her. I always have been, and I always will be. And I do miss her and the boys very much.
Do you think she'll have you back if you lose weight?
Well, I hope so, yeah.
Although Ted tried to lose some weight when he lived with Sue, their relationship broke down and Ted found himself living alone.
And when did you decide to come here?
Well, I had no choice but to come here, really.
Ted's hoping to get back to 17 stone, the weight he was when he first met Sue. But it's up to Ted to control his diet.
You know, like my breakfast I have here in the mornings.
What's your breakfast in the morning?
2 eggs, rasher of bacon, some beans, and 1 grilled sausage. That's a full English breakfast. I know it sounds a lot, but it's not. Overweight? I'm not ashamed to admit it, I'm overweight. It's all self-inflicted, it's my own fault. I've got nobody else to blame. I couldn't blame anybody else. I couldn't blame my wife, I can't blame anybody else, because nobody forced me to eat whatever it was. I certainly don't want to end up under 8 feet of dirt. That's for sure. Because at the moment, that's where I'm heading. That's why I'm going to do something about it.
It's always been a bone of contention with my mum, unfortunately, my weight. I danced, and so I always had to be slim. I feel food was quite controlled at home as a youngster. You know, the cupboard was always full of things, but if we took something else, she'd know we'd taken it, or if we opened something, You know, there was a packet of buns in the cupboard. Was who ate that? Did you need it? Why did you take it? We never ever helped ourselves to anything. I remember we had a huge big argument before I got married. My mum said, oh, you should be dieting. Most brides diet before they marry. Well, perhaps most brides diet before they're married because they've got anxieties about their marriage, but I didn't. So I didn't see why I should starve myself before I got married. I was happy I was getting married. My mum used to say that he'd go off and have an affair with a slim nurse. And it just made me worse.
And do you still row with your mum about your weight?
Not so much now, because she knows how hurt I get. But I did. She used to make comments. And I'm sure she didn't do them to hurt me. I know she didn't do them to hurt me. She did it because she thought that was the best, but it wasn't. It worked the other way. And she can't see it. Can't or won't, I don't know. Totally the wrong way. Over the years, I can now eat as much as most men, I think. It's not what I eat, it's how much I eat. I know I eat too much.